Okay. Second. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Ryan. You're watching The Watcher's Alchemy. Today, I wanted to do kind of like an update, kind of like a methods coming full circle on the road and path to ascension into higher consciousness and embodying the higher dimensions. I wanted to talk about a few things. One, I wanted to talk about where the the magic ceremonial ritual, the Western tradition of Kabbalah magic has been taking me over the course of a month since I've been doing it, since I started. So this is going to be a monthly update for that. I want to talk about two books real quick that talk about the this theme that I've been introducing onto this channel about dimensionality and how there are many dimensions of the human perceptual experience that transcend the five senses. So you basically use these five senses in our realm to expand your consciousness outward and take in lower and higher dimensions to understand them. And I want to talk about these books because these books are very opinionated. And then I want to talk about, well, actually, I want to talk about this first. What is bringing my own practice full circle is my brand new discovery, something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I haven't had the money and the resources, and I filled my head with the knowledge to do so, to act on this new holistic path of embodying a higher dimensionality, which is essential oils. It's something I've never done before. Okay, so this is an example of essential oils I bought. I got 16 altogether. I'm going to get into this in a second. So I wanted to start with this because this is like the encapsulation of everything that I've been doing. Started with the rituals, with the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, and which in a full package comes with the Kabbalistic cross ritual, which is something you just stand. If you know your location orientations, east, west, south, and north, you can do these rituals, and they ground you and they help connect you with your light body. Let's just say that. Now, that starting a month ago and then all the way up to today encapsulates with and finishes off with the crescendo of essential oils. Now, people use essential oils for all kinds of reasons, and I think mainly in the mainstream, in the media, in the marketing, it is more of a feminine thing, it is more of a girly thing. To have these sweet essential oils and smells, but there's actually a lot of doctors and physicians out there and holistic teachers who are trying to spread the awareness of how versatile and helpful the vast array of essential oils can actually be to everybody, and how we should all be using them. Now, I'm going to cut to the chase, because what I have found is since I've started using this technique of essential oils topically, all of a sudden I'm grounded. All of a sudden I have a sphere, like kind of like this membrane, this spiritual membrane around me, where there is no more confusion. I am very relaxed. I am very fluid, and this brings everything together that I'm rationalizing with my dimensional perception along my path. So everybody likes a little bit of itemization and a little bit of acknowledgement. So I'm going to go through these 16 essential oils that I started with, just sort of experimenting them. Some of them are general, some of them are just aromatherapy, some of them are probably best used hygienically, or maybe by brushing your teeth with them. And a lot of these are used topically, good for the skin. Now, let's start with the carrier oil. The carrier oil I bought, which you need a carrier oil if you want to use these topically. I got a golden jojoba oil. I've never done anything like this. I've never treated my skin. Now, the necessity of needing to treat my skin after so many years of abusing my skin has come into light, but it also coincides with the conscious application of using them for spiritual growth, conscious awareness, and sensory therapy, using them for therapy in vast ways. So jojoba oil is a carrier oil which you dilute the essential oils in order to use them topically on your skin. Jojoba oil, like coconut oil or almond oil or avocado, all kinds of oils, have vitamin E, and they work really well with the skin. And it's great because, I used to be very mindful, I guess you can say, or maybe even very paranoid about getting too much oil. I guess because I came from a background of construction. None of the oils that you work with are good for the skin. So I kind of had this sort of like culminating fear of oil. And so this really helps because, it isn't the cooking oil, even though cooking oil isn't bad or anything. And it isn't the greasy toxic oils. This is oil that's meant for your skin, so the more the merrier. And it's helping me to be able to just get it everywhere, and it's on me, and it's okay, and it gets on everything. And it's helping my mind to release itself from that tension that oil, having excess oil on your skin or on your hands and your fingertips, is actually a bad thing. The only bad thing about it is that I have to wipe my sunglasses down every few minutes, and my phone. um, so jojoba oil helping me to break into what vitamin E and oil can do topically, and the fluid transfer of these oils into the compatible components of the skin. Um, so that was the carrier oil. And then just real quick, for body wash, I didn't end up getting any sandalwood essential oil, not yet, but I will, because sandalwood is one of those higher up dimensional correspondences. But I got this Everyman Jack. It's probably one of the most natural type of body washes. I also have the same one in an underarm deodorant. So this is my temporary sandalwood, and this I mix with 1 second. This I mix with jojoba oil, just a little bit of this into one of these bottles. So I'll put maybe a third of this bottle, or a quarter of this bottle with this. Fill that up. Fill it halfway with jojoba oil, and then whatever essential oils I'm going to put in for the mixture. I've made one for body wash, which was extremely, it was very nice. It's way different than using a regular soap, because you're using less of this soap, which still has all the glycerin and everything in it. But now you're using oil, and then the essential oils mixed in there gives it the great fragrance. You can tune it to a more feminine, floral, masculine, woody, uh, sturdy scent. And so what happens is I originally wash with that one time through. Doesn't get all sudsy, but cleans me off. And then I go go back through one more time, and that puts that layer, that spiritual cleansing, purified membrane over the skin, and you come out feeling and smelling extra fresh, different than those kind of toxic aromas that the normal men's body washes kind of have. The majority of that wall that I was looking at trying to pick my body wash, it's like all these just have chemicals in them. So I just use less of this and more of the natural oil, and I got good and clean just doing that, and the scents of the oils stay on you. Right, now let's get into the actual 16 different scents and aromatherapies and spiritual qualities that I got here. So this first one is going to be an ancient go-to. This one is organic myrrh oil. Organic myrrh oil by a company, SVA. Got this on Amazon. I would say it smells very medicinal. Organic, medicinal, myrrh. I'm not exactly sure what myrrh is, but biblically, myrrh, frankincense and myrrh is what the three wise men brought to the Christ baby. They might have brought other things too. I'm not off the top of my head, historically, I'm not really sure what else they brought, but we know through the fables and the songs that they brought frankincense and myrrh. And here's a go-to. So these two I bought separately, the myrrh and turmeric. Turmeric. So turmeric essential oil, great when you add it to food and ingest it. Topically, it can soothe, it can heal inflammation, which is one of the reasons why I'm using it. I have a cyst on the side of my face, which I've had before, and I've never used oils, so I'm diving into it, seeing if they work. So I'll definitely put a little bit of this because it does get yellow. I don't want to turn my skin yellow. All these oils essentially they turn everything yellow, kinda. So I'm very sparing, and I follow the dilution rates. In fact, I don't dilute them as strong as they normally recommend. So here's one of the most powerful one that I've used more than the others. It's the tea tree organic. These are all organic tea tree oil, which is great for the skin. And they say that it'll help. That this is one of the components in oils and in healthcare or skincare that can help rejuvenate hair follicles. I believe. I think it's maybe like this one in rosemary, but I think definitely tea tree used for the face and the skin. Kind of smell has a very earthy smell like leaves on a tree. Okay, and that is part of the plant therapy. Uh, this is non-endorsed or nothing. This is all just me buying this stuff. Plant therapy, USDA organic, their top 14 organic singles. That this is their $100 on their website. I don't know. I probably should have gotten a 10% off, but I didn't for the first time buying. But I always do that. Um, but yeah, so I'm trying them out and seeing if they're a good place to start. Probably going to look into more expensive options in the future, even though this is a good place to start. Organic lemon. You can imagine. I don't even have to open this one. You can imagine what it smells like. Smells like the products you'd use to clean your home if they were scented with lemon, and that is exactly what that's good for. It's good for aromatherapy, uh, just livening up anything. I haven't used it on my body or nothing, and I don't intend to, but I do intend on passively dropping it onto some of my crystals because it gets really hot in here. So to come back, just pulling it out and touching it, I can smell the lemon. They'll really vibe up the room, or even enhance the mood, or enhance the endorphins, I guess you could say, by walking into a fresh lemon scented room, especially naturally scented. We have organic frankincense carteri. Uh, this one I have used just as much as I've used the tea tree, and I'm trying to look inside them to see how much I've used. I actually haven't used that much, so I'm doing pretty good. Gonna have a lot of miles on this frankincense because this is definitely recommended as an all-purpose, all-go-to. Frankincense is a resin off of a pine type of tree or a tree, I believe, that grows in the Middle East. I think I'm not sure. Has a very fresh, yeah, very fresh resin smell. Really nice. More of a masculine note, I would say. I think, in my opinion, I'm not an expert in scents. We have organic spearmint, which I have not really used. This again smells just like your toothpaste. Smells just like spearmint. Real fresh, really nice. Haven't used it yet on anything. Probably will. Probably mix that with some lavender, freshen up the room, and that which brings us to lavender. And so lavender, I actually mixed that in one of these bottles all by itself for spiritual purposes, because that will elevate your consciousness to a higher realm, so to speak. And so that is what that is used for. Lavender is corresponds with the goddess. element. So if you are looking to raise your spirituality, raise your vibration, raise your awareness, putting some lavender, well mixed with some jojoba oil. Put that on your feet. Massage that into your feet, on the bottoms of your feet where they can really absorb. Put that on your neck, behind your ears. Put that on your lip. Smell that, and close your eyes and focus into your third eye, lavender. That is how you use that spiritually, and that will, and give appreciation. Read up, do your research, give appreciation to the energies that accept lavender and that want to correspond using that medium, because that is going to propel you into your next breakthrough, your next conscious breakthrough. Organic rosemary. This says 1,8 cineole. I have no idea what that means. It's obviously a particular rosemary, but organic rosemary essential oil. I have not used this for anything. Smells very, very strong, very very like green needles off of a tree. And a bit medicinal, on the medicinal strong side. So that's going to be a different note. And then we got, here's a good one, medicinal one, organic eucalyptus. Organic eucalyptus. A subtle medicinal and earthy tone. Eucalyptus, can't remember exactly. I believe eucalyptus is kind of like a hot, kind of like if you want to bring things to the surface type of, if you're fixing something topically, I believe that's going to bring things to the surface. It's going to be more warm, I think. So probably not the best for inflammation. Maybe not the best for inflammation, or I could have that completely reversed. Do your research. Organic sweet orange. Sweet orange. I have used this in my body oil. I made a body wash, and then I made a body oil mixed with mostly citrusy. So one that I missed, actually, I'll get to that in a second, was pink grapefruit and then sweet orange, and then I add the helpful more medicinal or masculine scents to kind of finish it off, to kind of give me more of a masculine but freely airy, citrusy smell to my own body odor. And this lasts too. It lasts everywhere I go. Sit there in the car after hours of using this stuff, and it still wafts to the front. Yeah. Okay. So sweet orange smells just like orange. And then pink grapefruit, which is quickly becoming my favorite. You can go pretty heavy on this, and with some of the masculine scents, it doesn't get too girly. It just stays nice and fresh. And all this just, within a few days of learning all this stuff, I absorb information like a sponge. Organic clary sage, which I have not used, but will probably end up using as a cleansing. Doesn't smell all that great. This is probably something you want to put in like a spray to kind of get rid of bad energy. Has an earthy smell. Clary sage, it's not that, doesn't smell that great. It's a warm hot oil. So you put that on your skin, it's going to do something. Organic peppermint. Ooh, I haven't even opened this one yet. Organic peppermint smells just like a candy cane. Again, these spearmint, peppermint, maybe even if wintergreen which is not in here, those are all good for freshening up your breath. Cinnamon, organic cinnamon cassia. Yeah, you don't want to mess with this stuff. This is hot. This is going to burn your skin. So, and I'm not a big fan of cinnamon in the first place. But that'll definitely wake you up. That'll ground you. That'll bring you back down to earth. That might be actually something good for anointing It might be good for bringing with you to like a lake, or maybe like a sacred spot, like an outdoor tree, and anointing the plant life with a little bit of cinnamon, or anointing the soil. That's what that says to me when I smell that. Bergamot, an ancient one, comes from the skin of a citrus fruit. Yeah, so it has like a cross between lime and lemon, maybe a little bit more lime. Bergamot. Yeah, and so I'll use that too as a that's kind of like just a different tone of citrus. And then so the last one we got here is patchouli. Patchouli, kind of hard to explain. Good for the skin, but let's see if I can explain it with the aroma. Yeah, that's bringing you down to earth, kind of like a funky, almost like a woodsy mushroom vibe. Patchouli. I don't even know what patchouli is, to tell you the truth. It says it's kid safe. Do they all say kid safe? They don't all say kid safe. So some of these say kid safe. Yep, some of these say kid safe and some of them do not. Kid safe, okay. Yeah, patchouli. Yeah, so this is also a very cherished one. Patchouli, frankincense, tea tree. What else did we got here? Bergamot and rosemary. Those are, oh, lavender. Those are all very spiritual scents. Myrrh and turmeric. All good for raising the essential vibes. Okay, now getting on to the books. Okay, so I talked about a little bit about how a month ago I started with the LBRP and studying of traditional magic to center everything I got going on in my energy field. Because to tell you the truth, now that I'm sitting in the seat I am now, I realized a month ago I was out there. I just wasn't making sense, and my energy was so frustrated. I could feel it in all my chakras, all my energy centers, and in my body. And to this day, it's like night and day. So, which is essentially the reason why I'm making this video, is because if it's going to help me like completely eliminating that extra shaky, extra nervous, extra angry things happening in my third dimensional sphere of valence, where things are just aggravating me, it's night and day now. Literally, magic has happened and miracles have happened, and because I have followed this path, I was having a serious problem with somebody coming around and intentionally taking all these years of confused, perverted, or metaphysically speaking, perverted energy, targeting predatory energy and unleashing it on me. And then all of a sudden I did this magic. I was patient. And now that person's gone now. Metaphysically speaking, the chaos that was surrounding this magical little area I have here, which is supposed to be peaceful, it went from being completely chaotic and intentionally trying to come at me to all of a sudden this energy of understanding and beauty and peace, and it's quiet, it's wonderful, it's luminous, it's clean, it's purified. And rounding full circle, the essential oils, it helps to mediate my sphere of energy, so that now what I feel on the inside is reflected from what comes in from the outside. I am no longer bothered by the things that come at me, and they no longer exist at all anymore. So, the books. So, two books that talk about the different dimensions. Now, the number of dimensions, we're just going to leave it up in the air. Let's just say there are no number of dimensions, but these books that have come about in our age, that are channeled from higher sources of perceptual awareness, are trying to open our minds to the fact that we, in sequence, are opened up to uh, different groups of dimensions. So the first book that was written Okay, first of all, little disclaimer. Both of these books come from the same publisher, Bear and Company. So they have their own channeled avenues of how they have reached us. And there's many other publishers and many other people who channel and write books about their own beliefs in how cosmic galactic order is dictated from above and below. The first book, Alchemy of Nine Dimensions by Barbara Hand Clow with Gary Clow. Now, this is more comprehensive to the seeker in the third dimension who's trying to put together fourth dimensional principles and find out where this sort of reigns back in our history as people, as humans on Earth. Where does this all come from? Why did we come to these conclusions? And yada yada. I just started reading this, but I am a channeler, so I can kind of comprehend what I'm going to get out of this book. This is a very comprehensive starting point to understanding dimensionality. Now, I deal more with how a person builds from the ground up in their perception to understanding these sort of rules. This sort of lays it out on a more cosmic, from Earth to cosmic scale, talking about the inner workings of the Earth, how that interprets into dimensionality, and so on and so forth going on above. But essentially, it kind of stops at the general understanding of 11 dimensions and the alchemy of 9 dimensions, which is one of those groups that is opened up. So read this book. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to finish that book and definitely move on to probably reading more of Barbara's works. Keeping in mind, I'm not hailing anybody as the know-it-all, say-it-all of dimensionality. As far as I'm concerned, I'm that authority in my own realm, and I will discern and cherry pick what works and what doesn't. Okay, if it doesn't work, take that sucker out. If it works, I'm going to include it. If somebody's mentioned something that is actually viable and I can attest and I can spread that awareness, and I trust that, I am definitely going to do that. Which brings me to Joshua Reichman's book. Okay, now I'm not going to. This book pissed me off. This book pissed me the hell off. Enough that I knew I needed to make a video saying that. Now, my disclaimer after saying that is that I appreciate Joshua for doing what he did and putting his understandings, his beliefs, his channeling, and his efforts into his work, nonetheless, in a non-dualistic understanding in my heart and my mind. But having said that, you have to read this book to get what I'm getting at, is that this did not help me at all. This confused me. My understanding of a 12 dimensionality perception is grounded in reality, and this sort of steals that reality away by introducing more scheme. More scheme, and I'm sorry to use that word, but it has to be. I have to say it that way because what this is trying to do is it's trying to take somebody who doesn't know anything about occultism, anything about the history of spirituality and humans on this earth, and is trying to peg them into what is comfortable for them based on the latest age of fourth dimensional perception, which is the constant dualistic mentality of good versus evil, right versus wrong. Oh, don't worry about this because that is evil, so don't even bother checking it out because you just came from a history in your mind and in your genealogy where that didn't work out anyways. So let's just focus on the positive and the good. Don't touch this, that is bad. Only touch this. But the only thing that it allows you to touch is just out of your grasp, so that you need an actual practitioner to help you fulfill the void. And when they do so, you will learn things that you did not know. And it hints at this in this book. So if you understand occultism, if you understand Hermeticism, you understand the actual good versus evil paradigm and archetypes that exist in our many realities, you'll understand when someone tells you, look, only do this. Okay, so let me just say this. He talks back and forth about beliefs so that you don't know where he's coming at. He talks about how the Bible or monotheistic belief veered us in the wrong way, but then it also veers back to the Christ template. but and how that is the only thing worthy of worship in the literal sense. But that does not allow the observer to understand what the Christ template is on all levels and how it permeates every dimension. It just sort of sends you into this belief that, okay, only stick to the Christ template and nah. And it's like, no, that's not. That only allows. See, this guy, I'm sorry, but Joshua Reichman, if you're watching my video, which I hope you never do because I don't want anything to do with you, you have fallen victim into that egoic trap. You did not actually experience any trauma as a child. You led a beautiful life where people supported you, and that set you up to not understand the world you live in and you try to channel. It is perverted by different dimensionality and energies that you can't even perceive because you're so asleep. I'm gonna end it with this. He starts out in the book talking about the real twin flame and how he basically left his wife and his family to pursue this life with this new twin flame who was basically in his dreams and he couldn't get over it and he was just infatuated. But then he says specifically in the book that it wasn't infatuation and that it was meant to be, and it was divine, that gives him basically, he doesn't say this, but it's kind of hinting at the fact that it gives him the right to say that he understands things that are of above the etheric nature of our many realities. Just preposterous. It's basically it's targeting middle-aged 30s and 40s, middle-aged women of the Christian influence who don't want to let go of the Christian influence, who want that permission to not let go of it, but to transmute it and transfer it into something completely different. That, like I said, it leaves you into this realm of needing an actual practitioner, something that many spiritualists have fallen victim to in their own egoic mind. Meanwhile, spouting all this nonsense about how everybody besides himself has this egoic problem that they can't see. And just by him mentioning it, I still suffer from problems and polarities and blah, 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 he thinks that gives him a right to just all of a sudden smash out other things in reality. Meanwhile, Barbara has done her research. Like I said, keep in mind, they come from the same publisher, which Barbara and Gary both were the authoritative they were the publishers. They were the publishers of this Baron company. So they are responsible in some way to inspiring both of these works to some lesser or greater extent. It's all in cahoots, talking about the same stuff, but Joshua takes it off into an entirely different spin. Barbara talking about the actual 9 dimensions, or up to 11 dimensions in almost detailed affluence, and Joshua pretty much completely skipping over any kind of information that might be viable to the conscious mind of what 12 dimensions actually dictates. All he talks about is the Christ template, but he talks about it in a way that can't ground you or understand it. If you are a person who understands Hermeticism, occultism, and the history of human spiritualization across 12 dimensions, then you will get that this guy's mind is just completely poisoned. He's trying to poison people's minds further, whether on purpose or not. Like I said, he was raised a certain way, and his ego has just allowed him to just sort of allow him to have this mind frame that things just come to him, and his own faults are, despite his own faults, things are still just going to come to him, and so he can just say whatever he wants. And if someone like me comes along and says, no, this is complete bullshit, that doesn't matter. I still bought the book. It doesn't matter to him. Okay, so he's not, he might have come to some realizations after he finished the book and it finally got out into publishing, and he sold his first or 100th copy, or who knows how many copies he sold. He might have had like this revelation that is going to lead him to changing a little bit of his belief structures, or maybe this has put him on a path to enhancing and pushing out, this nonsense onto people who are none the wiser, mostly women. I'm sorry to say, but he's targeting women. And I can tell that by my ability to channel. My grounding in this world understands the predatory nature of the fourth dimension, and that is what Barbara goes into. Now, Joshua's book completely overrides that to give him permission to be that element that stands in reflection of the better or good or honest qualities of the fourth dimension. Just it's absolute absurd nonsense. Doesn't exist, and I don't even think he understands that, and his readers will not understand that unless they study occultism, hermeticism, and the higher, or just study Barbara's book. Okay, that's the irony of this Barron Company publishing, and I'm gonna check in further, but I just wanted to get that out because sorry if I'm confusing you, but Reichman's book pissed me off. Okay, and I finished it. Okay, but there were so many. I think it was about around page 219 where I started being like, I don't need to finish this book. This book is absolute nonsense. I finished it and it was absolute nonsense. He even puts at the very end, Finn, as if like that's like, I don't know, Finn. I don't know how many people have put that at the end of their book. Is that supposed to be funny or creative? Or is he supposed to be ultra inspired? But that's like kind of like the vibe that this man gives off, is that he is this ultra inspired guru who has a gate available only through him and nobody else. It's absolute absurd nonsense. It doesn't matter who you are. You have the ability in the here and the now to attain a higher sense of awareness above any abyss that transcends the commonality or the functional grids that the fourth dimension has us perceive. You are able to transcend everything that this realm has to use that Christ template, which is an actual real thing. The Christ template. It's a real thing, but it's not a thing like all things in lower dimension and higher dimension. It's not a thing to worship. It's a thing to observe and a thing to help co-create and evolve. It is not something to attach yourself to and say, this is my spiritual rope. It's going to bring me all the way up. No, there are many, many spiritual threads that create that rope that you are clinging onto, or more or less trying to remember how to ascend up through the dimensions. Absurd the way the absurd. Buy the book, buy both the books, read both the books. Okay, come to the conclusion yourself. Be fulfilled in however which way they steer you. Don't just listen to me. But I had to throw that in there, that as above, so below. Some things, more or less, are always going to be truth and are always going to be nonsense. My name's Ryan. You've been watching The Watcher's Alchemy, bringing you truth, essentially, through oils or verbatim, or some kind of higher cue of inspiration that synchronizes with your path. So be it. Take it easy.